Today is still June 2nd, 2023. Oh my God. Well, it's finally getting a little funny. Just a teeny bit. All right. I go to walk after work today. I came home for a while and then I went to walk in the park when it got cooler because it's really hot out today. I got in my vehicle. A bunch of people yell out, no one will say a word. We realized they had strippers doing this store. We all do. Go for a walk. Somebody else said everybody feels bad. We found out he just had one guy doing all that to her before. See, that's where they need to really check themselves. This is where that agent better not have known about Dave hiring retired Judge Pete to kick in my door. Drug me, beat me, rape me. Photoshop scenes, date rape, drug confessions. And he didn't arrest him. He better not have known. And I'm telling you, even outside my apartment, that girl's mean father walks around out there. He'll yell stuff. The one from 17, the one that took credit for my bikes, the one in March 18, does he think it's funny bringing her here? Her mean parents were a main part of the case. Well, she's 18 years old. He don't go to work till 5 o'clock at night. He gets off at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning. He's with me all day long. He's supposed to be at work. He didn't stay. She looked barely 18. In Ohio, especially years ago, you couldn't even serve alcohol at 18. So she didn't work in a bar. So that means he found her you can strip though in Ohio. You can't serve alcohol, but you can take all your clothes off. So he had to find her. He has this job that he can take 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. He has all this accumulated time that he can have off. He can take it off in increments. He wasn't staying at work. So he's looking to get rid of his wife, or he's just having one of his midlife crises in his 60s. He's out hitting the strip club. I fear it's Christie's because it's not in a bad area, and he'd be afraid to go to a bad bar. Well, little 18-year-old blonde girl, real trampy, her and her horrible trampy friends look like prostitutes because they were prostitutes. Okay? And it's been the pimps, the Johns, and the drug traders out of this area running an FBI case. That agent that called me back, RICO charges. That's drugs, bribery, fraud. So if he knew about Dave's effed up tapes, hiring retired Judge Pete, and shame on you, Pete. Shame on you. That idiot had tried to have me killed 4 times for the stripper. 4 times for the stripper. Instead of just divorce me, go off with the stripper. Can't say it to my face because he doesn't have enough manhood. Why didn't he just go to an attorney, have me served when he was at work, or go move out, not come home? He could have refinanced the house. They could have had Lennox and I could have moved on. Paid me off. See, that would have been a human. Anything else but this would have been a human. And where Dave's so mad that attempted carjacking didn't work. He gets mad and hits me with a board in the face, runs off the store, meets retired Judge Pete and his daughter Michelle, and they're drug dealers. And they help him pull the biggest scam in the world. with that stripper. Had their drug cartel come down here and start human trafficking people. So this is coming down to it. Was that FBI agent punked by Dave, punked by a stripper and a drug cartel? Think about that one. An FBI agent being punked. Did he know about the tapes before? For we're on a recorded line. Did he know? Did he know they were breaking in, drugging me? Did he know about their fake sodium pentothal reports? Their drugs, their amnesia drugs, their sleepwalking, like they got Eric High, November 1822, Walmart 62. Came in and confessed to all the tapes before him and not me, da 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 da. For everybody to turn on me as a stunt, ha 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 ha. Had nothing to do with it. They left his name in Altman Hospital, in town, everything. Had the man framed, had police departments looking for him, and then April 15, 16 of 23, Dave finally confesses. Danny, where I told Danny about November 18, 22, Walmart 62, of them getting Eric being high, coming in and confessing, and that, everybody knew my door was kicked in. They knew I had giant bruises everywhere, throwing up, almost passing out, heart racing. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. And then I got a really bad personal infection here. I'm being drugged, being raped out of my own house. Does that agent want to say he knew I was being violated of? And the only thing I knew is I had bruises, throwing up, heart racing, dizzy, and a really bad personal infection in my own house. Does he want to say he was part of human trafficking someone? And that Dave was selling videos of me and him in bed? And having me stalked? Does he want to say he was part of that? Because I told the director of national intelligence, and I told the Department of Justice on this, for we're on a recorded line. Because I told him somebody told on me to that church the night before. He called me a liar. He didn't ask for the church's name. He didn't ask for that. He didn't verify information. Badgering laws. Department of Justice, 1729. You have to take a victim, a witness, or informant statement, fall through, it's badgering. It's obstruction to justice. It's exactly what he did on a recorded line. It's 5 to 20 years. I tried to tell him what happened at Huntington Bank. Was there or Giant Eagle? Was there a camera above the bench when he threatened to knife you? I don't know. You don't know. You either say you're lying or I'll put you in jail. I'll arrest you. You hear me? Now, was there a camera above that bench? I don't know. Say you're lying, I'll put you in jail. Fine, whatever. Made me plead for my life. Okay? There's no coerced confession as admissible. He can't threaten to put me in jail if I don't say what he wants. That was a Detroit Boys' kidnapper. I even tried to tell him he tried to kidnap me in front of Terry. Wouldn't listen to me. See, this is to the point. His arrogance, his ignorance. He better not have known all those crimes were happening to me, and he was just going to go along with it. What do they do? Go out with the stripper too? Or one of her stripper friends? Think about this. His behavior is illegal. I had to beg for my life, then he lists me informant for life. $5,000 a month. Okay? For you have a life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated, dated against you again for working this case. And only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back to the traffic ticket, even when you tell. And I open an account with $5,000 a month in it. And you'll start building today. You'll have it when the case is over. Da 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 da. No man will ever touch you. I'll make sure of it. I'll pull you out if it gets too bad, and then threaten me if I told. I already told them, Dave, and the church people knew. Whose fault is it that he didn't pick up that damn phone and call the church? His. Whose fault is it that he bullied me into a false statement? His. Whose fault is it he let the Detroit Boys' kidnapper get away? His. Now, is anybody going to say he knew about The stripper, he knew about retired Judge Pete stalking me, beating me, raping me, sex trafficking videos, and I was being human trafficked under drugs out of my own house, and he didn't help me. Does he want to say he was an accessory to life in federal? Told you. And then the next day, a cop officer showed up, a tall white officer with white hair, that he just spoke to Dave about the threats on my life. I thought, what about the agent at the church? See what I mean? He didn't give a damn enough. April 15, 1623. My youngest son, Dan, he called his dad, asked him about this weird stalker. If he knew anything about it, said he didn't know why he confessed. Because they framed him, left his name on it, got him high, and told him to go confess. They're amnesia drugs. They're sleepwalking. Under somebody else's control. He said that his dad told him he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was only him up there for me, taping me unaware. Him doing all those things to me. Oh, Pete has it set up. She can't get no money. Pete doesn't have anything admissible. It's a Fourth Amendment over the House. Our Constitution is set up so everybody stays honest. You have a right to be safe and secure within your own person, your own place, your own home. Your papers, your effects against any unreasonable search or seizure shall not be violated. It shall not be violated. Your sanctity of your home. The Department of Justice considers your home as a castle. It shall not be entered into. Okay? Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life with statements, or otherwise it's a legal search and seizure and they go to jail. Okay? That's why my friend from the prosecutor's office said it's a fraud scheme. Where they kicked in your door, they probably did set up on cameras. They could never use it against you because they did it in the house. And where you had the bruises you were throwing up and almost passing out, they probably were drugging you and telling you to say something. They could never use it against you. They did it in the house. Their big mistake. They can never look or listen to it. It's a fraud scheme. That's where I went out to eat with this one guy. Said he knew somebody who dealt drugs, that he knew it was drug dealers out of this area pulling a drug scam. Okay? Said a bunch of other stuff too. So it's just a big scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a front door scam. Like they did everything for Michelle. Michelle was supposed to be the only one dating Dave, and he's been engaged to Kathy. He was dating Savannah. He was dating Katie. He was dating a bunch of women, including the stripper. And the stripper showed up last year. Her mean parents are one of the old guys that are walking around yelling stuff at my house at night. From 17. He never married the stripper. He never will, probably. He just uses her for whatever. And the other old guys out here harassing me are probably the other strippers or prostitutes' dads. It's been basically a strip club. They're pimps, they're Johns. And the drug traders that were going in there for the strippers, helping them outrun a big scam. An FBI case, let alone. Where I didn't believe that agent was real. Oh, let me get back to this. Dave told Danny that there was an agent up at that church asking threats on her life. And he even spoke to him. And said he was the only agent from the agency looking into it on his own. Okay? November 6, 22, Canton investigators. They were talking about filing the protective custody case. And they're talking about the different people in that were doing stupid stuff because of the case. That told all those men to stay out of this. None of this is funny. And said, well, the agent that called her back, it was verified by an officer. He's the one that was telling on her the night before she called him back to that church. Oh, my Lord. And they walk out. Now, Why would he call me a liar instead of the name of that church and verify it? That's his damn job. Somebody was supposed to have been impersonating a federal officer. You'd want to know who it is, wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want somebody threatening to knife somebody and find out who was paying that Pizza Hut lady to stalk me? And because the banker was yelling at her and they walked off together. It wasn't my place to find that camera. It was his. And to find out who that was. This is all his fault. If he wanted to give the FBI a black eye, he gave him 2 black eyes and a punch in the stomach. He retired right after, and then that other agent, and his name was longer, but he went by last name. He went by Agent Will. He retired in 19. Retired Judge Pete told everyone he was Agent Will from the FBI, and he was nothing but a retired judge. The drug cartels had fake FBI badges and ran the biggest scam in the world. Those men retired. That's where my friend at the prosecutor's office. He said, I've always worried about if something happened to those agents or they retired. They probably just packed you up and put you in a cold case file. Well, the case is still going on and the police don't realize it. It's exactly what happened. I told you I didn't believe he was real, so I googled the office he was at and I found him. When Dave was threatening Dixie and the baby's life and had a list. Well, he's got a list. I'm working on it. Just like when I seen that guy and he took off through the side woods. You seen that guy, you tell those police to get a hold of it. We're busy. That you can't open a case and be too busy to look into it. That's fraud. That's where up in Akron, some officer, they all know that retired judge hacked into the protected custody case and sold it, made millions. Millions. The drug cartel made millions off FBI information. How much trouble is that agent in? Okay? Said, have you listened to Karen? Yeah, I've listened to Karen several times. He said, we've been getting phone calls that there was no excuse for any of this. The guy said, do you think that agent fell for their tapes before? I said, well, he knew he wasn't allowed to look at them. He said, and then he didn't even verify everything was photoshopped on her, and we did. And he said, we've all been told it's wrong to defraud anybody, especially victims. I'll tell you what, that's where my friend from the prosecutor's office, that agent cannot speak to you like that, nor can the police go along with it. The only thing illegal he did is list you informant with money. And as far as the FBI, it'd be illegal for them to drop you no matter what. Once they put you in protected custody, you have to stay in it because they can always hire someone else to kill you. So you have to stay an informant or they have to move you to a different witness protection program. It would be illegal for them to drop you no matter what. So you're going to say that FBI agent was scammed by Dave, the drug traders, and strippers? That he's the stupidest man on earth? I told you, little kids in Louisville. No, because retired Judge Pete kept saying he was Karen's Will from the FBI. Okay, a lot of people called it Karen's Will. When the case first started up in Ravenna, they called it Karen's Crack. After my brother-in-law, Craig, that died working for the CIA. Then the officers in Stark County called it Karen Around the House. Okay? Well, little kids see me Karen's Wills I hear today. We all know the FBI betrayed her. Mennonite children in New Philly. They let her live through all that and didn't even pay her. And we found out Karen's ex-husband even threatened a baby's life. What a disgrace. One of our highest law enforcement allowing a drug cartel, prostitutes and strippers sell FBI information while they're human trafficking people out of this area. My one friend that told me about the drug dealers had a friend on the police department. They were actually using that case that agent opened. And they were getting ready to take care of it. They knew about a retired judge in Texas involved, and he killed himself. They knew about the Texas people that were here involved. And I said, the Kingsmen, is that what they call themselves? I said, yeah. And I didn't even tell him that. They found 35 people tied up in a railroad car. And they're getting ready to take care of it. 3 weeks later, they did an 800 people sweep. That agent had the biggest case in the world on his desk. And now people realizing they've been punked by strippers, a drug cartel, and prostitutes, their pimps and johns. Huh? And some old retired judge that's messed up all in this. Dave cannot hire some guy named Pete on his own just to take me unaware and stalk me. He goes to jail for that, let alone drug me, beat me, rape me, sex traffic me out of that house. I was in so much danger that agent should have hit me. That's where even Officer Reinhardt Louisville, even the FBI couldn't be in your home outside of protected light case with statements. They go to jail. It'll be illegal to look or listen. It's illegal to be in somebody's home, no matter what. That's where my friend from the prosecutor's office, I heard this weird case of this officer monitoring somebody in their house on their own. He said the guy found out, went to a judge, and said the judge looked at him and said, I could never look or listen to this. That man had a right to privacy. You had no right in his home. And he can sue you for this. I bet he went to jail for it too. It's 2 to 20 years. No one can be inside your home except for protected by cases with statements.